What's up, y'all? Welcome back. We've got an awesome one for you today. Hey, we're going to also post this one over on Spotify and over on Apple Podcasts or anywhere that you find our podcasts. We've got Capt Anthony from Finn's Sportfishing, one of the best sturgeon guides on the entire river, not only in quantity, but quality as well. He's got multiple 70-inchers under his belt every year. So sit back and relax. We do these seminar series out on the dock, and we're looking forward to finally bringing one to YouTube. We got everything set up, ready to go. So we've got about an hour of his seminar here. Hopefully you guys enjoy. Let's head outside and we'll hear what he's got to say.
I gave away waypoints. I gave away so much information, and you guys missed out on it. But we'll try to get you squared up here this year with enough information to get a little more confident out there. Couple things I can say right off the bat before even getting into anything with catching the sturgeon is you want to come up with a very consistent and simple program to use when you're out there. When you're out there, try to keep things easy, simple. Don't get too overcomplicated with everything. Just once you come up with a program, stick with it. When you make adjustments, make small adjustments as you go. So first thing I did when I kind of got into sturgeon fishing is I wanted to kind of understand more about them. And this was after about probably 6-7 years. Is after targeting them, I mean, I'm changing weights, I'm changing hooks, I don't know what to do, I'm changing lines, I don't know where to fish, no one's out here doing it. I see 2 boats every once in a while, maybe. So trying to learn all this from about 20 years ago till now has been an immense amount of trial and error. Just trying different things all the time and trying to understand what a sturgeon is. So I broke down, I did some research, and everything that I found out over the last 20 years is easily available out there. It's on the internet, you can watch videos, all sorts of stuff. All this information that I found out is easily attainable to anybody now. I mean, a sturgeon, they're a cartilaginous fish. So unlike your walleye and perch and all your other different species, you don't have to worry about depth. Where are they going to hit today? On the bottom, because that's where they are. It's not like you're going to run a top water today and a buzz bait tomorrow and, maybe a crankbait the next day. The fish are on the bottom. It's the same program every day. Hook, sinker, on the bottom with bait. It's pretty, for the most part, it's really simple, but all the other little things make it a little bit more complicated. Understanding kind of how they feed. They don't have a mouth like a normal fish would. It's underneath. So as far as the predatory aspect, they have some of it where I believe if they see something fall in front of them, they'll be able to see that and hone in on it. But as far as what's going on in their mouth, they're using their barbels to feel. So when they do come up to something and they smell it, they'll feel it, then they'll be able to suck it in from there. And even then, they will be cautious a little bit about what they eat. I mean, if something, you're talking about a fish that's 30, 40, 50, 100 years old. They're not stupid. They've eaten the same stuff every year after year after year. So they are pretty intelligent, and from what I've seen, it seems like they get a little more intelligent as the season goes on. You gotta imagine if the same fish seems the same, bait in the water, and some of these fish, they do get hooked several times a year. I mean, we've caught several fish that I've hooked within days, if not weeks apart from each other. So I believe they do get pretty smart over time. Their food sources, the way I found out what they eat is when they poop in the boat, look at what they're eating. If they're pooping up seaweed, they're eating weeds. They're pooping up all sorts of gritty stuff and shells. They got to be eating zebra mussels, some kind of mussel on the bottom. They call them mud sharks for a reason. They're constantly sifting through the mud, pulling out whatever they're eating out of there. I think that a lot of stuff what they're eating is a lot of those caddis flies that bury themselves in the muck. They're eating those fish flies, the wigglers that bury themselves in the muck, all the bugs that bury in the muck to hatch the next year. They'll sift through all that. They'll eat the zebra mussels. So they kind of give you a little bit of indication of like, okay, and how I find that out is if I bring my sinker in and it's full of sand, I know I'm fishing a sandy bottom. If I reel my line in and I got zebra mussels it's clamped to my leader line, which I'm sure if you've been out there enough, you've seen it. You reel it in and you got zebra mussels, they've attached to your line. So that kind of gives you an indication, like, all right, am I in an area where it's just sandy and they're just hanging out? Am I in an area where there's zebra mussels, maybe they're feeding more? So paying attention to kind of what all is going on around you, what you're pulling up off the bottom, just being aware of everything while you're out there gives you a really indication of if you're in the right spot, if they're feeding, if they're not feeding. You know, they wander around and sometimes they feed, sometimes they don't. So just kind of being very aware of what's going on, you know, with your equipment and everything else. It gives you a really good perspective of what you're doing every day out there. Gives you a good indication of where they might be located when they're feeding or where they're just hanging out. They're a lot like people too. Sometimes, you know, half of you might eat at 1 o'clock, the other half might eat at 2. Some of us might want an early lunch at 10:30. But the bulk of the fish generally have feeding times throughout the day, night, whether it's after midnight, morning. Seems like it's 3-hour increments, somewhere in there, 3 to 5 hours. They bite, they stop, they bite, they stop. And those increments, they go up and down. They could really feed, and then they don't really feed. They feed a little bit. So it's like you catch 5 fish in 5 hours, the next 5 hours you only catch 2. So those feeding times, they kind of vary throughout the day and how strong they are with their feed. Again, watch some videos on how they feed. There's a lot of really good videos out there from like the West Coast. So white sturgeon, and it's basically the same animal. They feed the same way. We don't have many good videos out here of lake sturgeon feeding. I've looked around, but white sturgeon, there's a lot of really good white sturgeon videos on watching them feed. A lot of guys run underwater cameras, and you can watch how they come up to the bait. Generally they come straight up behind it and they'll come right up to it. They might veer off, then they come back, then they veer off, then they come back. Sometimes they veer off and they never come back. Sometimes they come right up to it and inhale it and swim right off. It just depends on those feeding times and how active they are. But watch them videos. It gives me a really good idea what I'm looking for at the end of the rod. When I see it start moving and stop, it gives me a really good idea of, I just remember watching these videos and going, all right, you know, I remember seeing him do this. All right, let's wait, you know, and see if he comes back. 5 minutes later, rod does the same thing, goes all the way down, catch a fish. So I think them videos really helped me kind of understand what I was looking at the end of the rod. Because, I mean, I can't really see what's going on down there. I can only visualize it in my head. So that seemed to really help me. And there's a lot of other good, really, some products out there. Navionics makes some excellent charts. They will show you everything you need to know about every body of water. Take a look into Navionics. It'll show you a lot of things you need to know. Go to their website, look them up, take a look at some of their maps they have. It's a big help. It at least gives you a general idea of where you're fishing. And when I'm fishing an area, I generally know there's a reason why I'm there. Whether it's the fish are there or there's something there that will bring the fish to me when the fish are ready to feed. So having that information and knowing where I'm looking for, where I want to fish, getting into making sure you have a program developed. You know, so when those fish do turn on and you do have them feeding times, you have your program ready to go, you're confident in what you're using, your sinkers, your hooks, your lines, everything else is ready to go, and you're confident in what you're doing. Again, keep things simple, don't overcomplicate it, keep it consistent. If you're changing stuff, change little things at a time. If you're going to change your hooks, change all your hooks, so you got consistent data to work with. When I started doing this, I was all over the board. One day I'd change sinkers, the next day I'd change hooks, and I didn't know what I was doing. I was just throwing everything out there and hoping for the best. To be honest, there are fish everywhere in this system. There are fish from the Blue Water Bridge all the way down to Lake Erie. So I see a lot of guys piling up in spots. Grand Cut's one of them. You guys like to get in there. There's 15 boats. You guys, it looks like you're whipping. You're so close to each other, I don't even know how you do it. It would drive me absolutely nuts. So don't worry about getting too close to people. Spread out. There's plenty of fish for everyone. I mean, I'm not going to target the St. Clair River itself just because there's plenty of fish in the North Channel. I don't have to venture too far. South Channel, Middle Channel, North Channel, all three of them hold a good amount of fish. They do move throughout, like we'll say July, August, September, October. They will move between those 4 months, those 3.5 months there. They will start in certain areas, work their way to other areas, and then spread out everywhere by the fall. You know, this time of the year, a lot of the fish that have spawned up near the Blue Water Bridge are working their way back down. There's still some fish scattered through here. They're still pushing down this way. And then you got more fish from Lake St. Clair. They're moving up this way. They've already done that from the fish fly hatch. Once all them bugs hatch, they start working their way back up this way. At least that's what I've noticed. And just because of a lot of things I tell you here isn't exactly, just because I tell you have to use a 16-ounce sinker, whatever you're using and it's successful and it works for you, just keep using what you're using. What I'm doing here is I'm giving you suggestions of things that if you would like to change something, if you like to do something different, this is what I tell you I do. And if you'd like to give it a try, you're more than welcome. So after all these years and doing all the research I've done and fishing all the spots I have and trying everything, basically now I trust my instincts. If I go out there and I know the wind's blowing a certain way and I know I got to worry about weeds or the water got dirty or whatever's going on, and I said this last year at my seminar and I thought about it a lot last year while I was fishing, I trust my instincts a ton. If you get really good at a certain type of fishing, you know, you just start trusting your instincts with what you're doing. And that's kind of what been doing through trial and error. Like I said, when I go out now, it's like, all right, you know, wind's doing this. Current seems a little faster today. You just kind of generally know what your plan's going to be throughout the day because you've had those same situations, I don't know, 200 times before being out. So with that being said, I'm going to jump right into my tackle. We're going to go over just rods, reels, basic stuff. Just tell you a little bit about what I use, why I use it. First off, I'll tell you, use good equipment. Save your money. Just buy yourself either 2 or 4 really good rods and reels. It's going to be worth it in the end because I guarantee you, it's what happened to me before. You hook a really good fish and you lose it because you know you weren't using the right stuff. You know you didn't retie. You know that hook that you used probably shouldn't have been on there. So you're not going out perch fishing, catching 150 and losing a 12-incher and getting upset. You're going out fishing for, you know, in my case, all my trips are based on 5 hours. I do 5-hour trips a day. So that's what my information's based on. So when you're going out and you're targeting fish that are 3, 4, 5, 6 foot long, you know, you're not looking for 150 fish. Most guys are out there, I want to catch one big one. So having the right stuff, making sure it's all set, ready to go, making sure it's top notch. And like I said, when I started, I didn't have the nicest gear. I worked my way up. I bought some stuff, sold it, bought nicer stuff. And I kept doing that till I got really good gear. But definitely save your money if you can, buy some nice stuff. It'll pay off in the end run. Make sure you're checking your line very often. Every time you catch a fish, before you go out, making sure everything, because like I said, don't want to lose the biggest fish of your life. And it doesn't matter if it's me, anyone here can catch the biggest fish. Just because I'm out there every single night doesn't mean I'm going to catch it. More than likely, the guy that goes out once a year is probably going to catch a 96-incher. It's just kind of how it works. Rods, My choice of rods, I like a solid fiberglass. I've used composites, I've used graphite, I've used all sorts of different rods. I've literally beat the crap out of these things last year. Solid fiberglass is definitely the way to go. You can get the perfect bend you want. You can step on them, slam them. Fish can slap up against them. And these ones here, they have no inserts in the eyelets. So I don't have to worry about the inserts breaking out of them. It's another, just one extra thing I don't have to worry about, which is fantastic because I've had all this happen before. Reels, length of rod, use what you like. Me, I've been using these 710s. These are perfect for me. I got 6 of them. I run 6 rods. They're all the same. 710 works great for me. I used to use 8-footers. Those were great too. They just had more of a bend. These ones here don't quite, the tip bends on them, but it's got it comes up with a lot of backbone. You'll see right in here. So this is what I'm looking for in the bite. This is what I'm using to fight the fish, and this is all my backbone here. So I got 3 parts of the rod that I use efficiently. Reels, I just like to use a reel that has can handle a lot of line. These have about 1,000 feet on them. Sometimes I'll put up to 1,200 feet on them, just because when you get them big fish that like to run and don't stop, it's nice to have that little extra line to be able to either get your anchor up or throw a buoy and chase down to them, which I've had to do multiple times. So it's nice to have a reel that can handle a lot of line. I use the line counters just for a couple reasons. If I'm getting fish, and it sounds funny with sturgeon, but if I'm getting fish 100 feet back, I'm gonna throw that thing back 100 feet. For me, it works. Other people might laugh at it, but to be honest, I think it works. And for my customers, it's enjoyable because they can look and go, oh my God, it's 300, 325, 350, 400. So it adds a little excitement for them. So I do enjoy the line counter. I didn't know if I wanted it first. I never used one, got them. I like them. And they cast really well. Even with a line counter, with these reels and rods and a 16-ounce sinker, I can cast this thing 130 feet. So covering that much water, definitely it's beneficial. Because once I hit the bottom, I mean, sometimes I might be 170, 180 back. So that's another reason, like, if you want to anchor, you know, off next to me. Don't anchor right up behind me. Because if I got 170 feet and that fish takes another 500, well, I'm forever back there. But at that point, I'm already thinking I'm going to have to chase the fish because it depends on how many boats are behind me. I don't want any issues. Line, I'm running, last year I ran 65 with these newer fiberglass rods. I upped it last year to 80. I did have a couple break-offs right off the bat. Went up to 80, never had an issue. If you're running a lighter rod, you can get away with lighter line. The lighter line I do like is, and we're talking 65. You can even go down to 50 with a lighter rod because you're not putting as much strain on everything with a lighter rod. So use the fiberglass. Little heavier rod, little heavier line, 80 pound, and I'm using Power Pro Master Braid. Those two I highly recommend. They both work really well. The disadvantage to going higher in your line is that the current's gonna catch it more. So it's gonna make you wanna use more weight to keep your sinkers on the bottom the closer you get to the boat. So if you're running way back, it's not gonna matter, but the closer you're bringing them, because when I run my rods, I'm running them off to the side of the boat. I'm running 2 here, 2 here, and 2 way off the back. So these 2 off the back go way out. The 2 on the side here will come a little closer, like 100 feet. And these 2 here up close, they'll get almost dropped straight down. So I got a giant spread out there, side to side, front and back, covering a whole lot of water. So these fish are generally kind of working this way. I mean, they will, once they catch a scent, you'll see in a lot of the video, if you watch these videos, the feeding underwater, you'll see them come right up to the bait. It's not like they slide in from the side and they're right there. It's like they can smell that, just like a deer in the wind. They smell that smell in the current and they'll come right up it. Leaders, I'm using 60-pound Seagar. I've used this for years. I like it. If you got a leader material you like, I like going with 60. I don't see any reason to go any higher. This will last me, my leaders will last me the whole season. I don't have to worry about nicks, cuts, anything like that. Sinkers, 16 ounce. I run a pound. I've gone anywhere. I've started at, 2-4 ounces. I've worked my way all the way up to a pound. Reason I'm up to a pound now is I can work, doesn't matter if I'm running deep water, shallow water, where I'm casting, that sinker is gonna hold right where it's at. I don't have to worry about any of that. Whereas before, I'm running different rigs to where I can change my sinkers, and with this program, I can run any depth of water, anywhere I want, whether it's deep, shallow, whatever the current speed is, I can handle it all. And the other reason I do that is because if I catch a fish over here and I have to reel this rod in to get this fish, I'm gonna cast this rod back to where I caught that fish. And if I'm running a lighter sinker here than I am there, well then that's not gonna work. So if I run all the same consistent stuff, then it's gonna work consistently the same no wherever I put it. My choice of hooks would be Gamakatsu 5/0 Octopus. I've used anything down to a 1/0 all the way to an 8/0. I've used circle hooks. I've used every kind of hook. To me, this is anywhere, I would say 3, 4, 5/0 is your best choice. I enjoy the 5/0s, just depending on if I'm putting a big gob of worms, if I'm just putting a couple worms. And don't worry, everyone's worried about, the hook exposed. I don't care if the hook's exposed or not. They're down there going like this. They're not looking going, oh, I can see the point of the hook. We ain't eating that today. They're feeling around. They can feel and smell that bait. They're gonna suck it up and eat it. Use good hooks. I've bought like aftermarket, just random brand hooks offline, and it's just not, they don't cut it. The points of the hooks, they'll be instantly dull. The eyelet where you put the line in, it's just not bent the right way. They're not, buy some good hooks. I think these are like 60 cents a hook. You don't need a ton of them. Buy some good hooks. It'll definitely, I've made the mistake of buying bad hooks and it's bit me in the butt before. So buy some good, Gamakatsu makes some good ones. I used to use Mustad Ultra Point. They also make good hooks. Black Nickel Octopus. That's my style of hook I like. When I'm tying my knots to my hooks, I'm using a snelled knot. So you guys can come up here and see it later, but I'm using a snelled knot. So everyone's got a different style on how they want to get the fish in the boat. So, I don't know, 20 some years ago, my grandfather, he goes, here, he says, take this thing. He says, I don't know what you'll use it for, but maybe you'll use it one day. Well, I didn't know I was gonna get into sturgeon fishing at the time, but 20 years ago, I started using this. Now, in the last 5 years, I put over 1,000 fish in this cradle. Now, I went out last year and I bought this one here, which RS Nets makes it. And I'll give you an honest review. I used it, I don't care for it. One thing is, it's extremely heavy, which you guys that use the big hoop nets, honestly don't know how you do it. I mean, it would drive me nuts trying to put a 6-foot fish in a hoop net going like this. When I cradle a fish, that fish comes in, if I'm on the edge of the boat and he's coming to me, bring the fish right here, I pause him there, bring the fish to the edge of the boat, he pauses, all right, I can get in position, I lower myself down like this. Once he gets close enough, I dip the net down, around, close it. He's concealed in there, he's pointed into the current, so I don't have to worry about him going this way, that way, curling up. I don't have to worry about tipping the neck this way and trying to drag him up. It's simple and easy. 2 guys grab it, lift it up, drop it in the boat. It's the most, I've never used a hoop net. I couldn't imagine, just because the way I do it is so simplistic. It's so easy, and I'll tell you, everything, the more simple you can make your life sturgeon fishing, the more simple everything you make is, the easier everything will be. It's why I don't use all that janky stuff on my sinkers. It just slides through the line. I don't have an extra swivel. I don't have things that slides through. It's simple. Make your life simple. The simpler everything you make it is, the easier sturgeon fishing will be. But yeah, this thing, and I'm going to try to get with Pete and see if we can find some material to make some of these. Because this thing is, I mean, it's so lightweight and it's so easy to use. Just dip in the water, grab the fish, close it, and done deal. I mean, I put 80-inch, 165-pound fish in here. It's seen better days, but it's still holding in there. Bought a bump board because I kept getting yelled at because I was measuring my fish over the top of the fish and it wasn't the right way apparently because it was too easy. So I bought a bump board. This thing, I love it for pictures, for doing master anglers. If you guys like turning in your master anglers, this sturgeon bumper from Muskie Bumper, this thing's awesome, works great. The only problem is trying to get the fish to settle down long enough to get cooperated on this thing to get a picture. It's like wrestling an alligator, except they don't have teeth, which is great. Thank God I have notes, because if I didn't, I'd be all over the place. There's 8 million variables while you're out there. Current will change. I mean, you got the fish change constantly. You got changing pressure. You got changing moon phases all the time. Weather's changing constantly. Everything out there is changing. So the more you make yourself consistent and try to figure out what the other variables are and how they affect what your program is doing, will teach you a million different things while you're out there. Make sure you're always aware of your surroundings. When I'm out there, I'm always kind of watching what's going on. You know, if I'm anchored and all of a sudden I get into a weed edge, meaning I'm anchored, everything's good, I got no weeds coming by. All of a sudden, man, I got a million different weeds. Will something change? Maybe the current shifted a little bit coming around the point. A lot of this has to do with, you know, with getting bites. So, I mean, every little single thing. All of a sudden you notice your rod tips are heavier. The current may have picked up a little bit, or your boat's swinging more. Just paying attention to every single little thing out there. Fish jumping. All of a sudden you're sitting there, nothing's going on. Fish are jumping all around you. And you notice, oh man, when that first fish jumped, we got 2 fish in 15 minutes. Okay, when you go out next time, pay attention to those things. Pay attention to the current. Pay attention to your weed edges. Like I said, the weeds floating down, they cause different eddies in the current. I mean, there's 8 million different variables. But if you keep your equipment consistent, you can figure out what in the world all the other variables are, because there's a million of them. Don't make things any harder than they already are. You know, you're trying to figure out what a fish is doing down 30, 40, 60, 70 feet down at the bottom, and you're up at the top in the boat. You have no clue what's going on. So you know, putting all this together, being consistent, keeping things simple, you can figure out what those other variables are, and hopefully, because every day you're out there, every second you're out there, you're learning something new, whether you like it or not. I've learned 8 million more things from a bad day than I've ever have from a good day. I can go out and say, man, I caught 13 fish, it was great. But if I go out and I don't catch anything and I get skunked, I come back and I'll spend 2 days thinking about it. What did I do wrong? Was I in the wrong spot? Oh, Billy Bob was out and he got 3, and he was here and he did this and he did that, and you know, Georgie George was over here and you know, he got 15. And so I mean, I just put everything together, think about it. What did I do right? What did I do wrong? If I go out and catch 13 fish, what did I do right? I did something right. And I know my program here is the same. So what else changed around me? Oh, I noticed that this happened and that happened. Pay attention to everything around you. Keep things simple. Don't get crazy with changing a bunch of things. And it'll tell you a lot about what's going on around there. Every day we have pressure changes. Generally, they change throughout the day, but your main pressure changes are going to be morning and evening. Sun comes up, it heats things up. Sun goes down, it cools things down. So the pressure generally changes morning and evening. That's why a lot of guys will say, you know, you fish first light and last light. There are also pressure changes throughout the day, storm systems, such like that. The pressure's mainly always, even when they say it's steady, it's still changing ever so slightly. But you'll notice it seems like pressure changes have to do with a lot of them jumping. Which I'll get into a little bit more in just a second. Pay attention to, like, another thing I pay attention to is cold sinkers. It sounds goofy. Pick your sinker up when you hold it. Does it feel warm or does it feel cold? If I'm out there for a week straight and it's like every time I feel it's the same temperature, go out the next day and it's like, man, this thing's really cold all of a sudden. You can tell that the temperature on the bottom of the river has changed. So it might mean that you need to change locations to where you're at. Maybe you need to fish shallower or deeper. It's just one other thing to think about when you're out there and you're fishing. If you're out there and you're killing them 5 days in a row, the next day you go out there and you're not catching anything, and you notice, man, this sinker's freezing cold. Maybe I shouldn't be in this spot. Maybe I should be on the other side of the river, deeper, shallower. 8 million variables to think about when you're out there. These are just little things to, you know, think about and know when you're out there to look for. Jumping fish, generally there's 2 types of jumping fish from what I've seen. You got the one that looks like a dolphin. It jumps out, flies out of the water and does a big splash. Some of them will even do like the dolphin thing. And then other ones, they just come up porpoise and go back down. Just a little bit of their head comes out. Generally what I think is the ones that are just come up and porpoising, they're just exchanging air in their air bladders. You got to think if you're 80 pounds, you got to have enough air in your air bladder so you don't sink like a rock to the bottom and you can't get up. Or if you got so much air in you, it makes you float to the top. So being able to exchange that air, whether you're gathering air or releasing air, will help you stay buoyant in the water. So I think when they're porpoising like that and coming up, they're just getting air. And possibly when they're jumping like that, maybe they're knocking air out. But I think when they're doing the crazy jumps, when you see them way out of the water, I think they're trying to knock some of them lampreys off. Because I mean, if I had something stuck to me like that all the time, I'd want to jump out of the water like crazy too. I just kind of think of them like people sometimes. What would a person want to do? Jim, we did this last year. I think I'm going to try this again. Actually, no. Hang on. How do I want to do this? Actually, let's see how I can do this. I gotta try to line the camera here and everything. Actually, that'll work. So actually, John, come over here for a second, hold on to this. I'm gonna try to see if everyone can see this, like from this angle. So just hold on to the rod right there.
Hold on the rod like that.
Kind of hold the line tight. All right. Yeah, there we go. All right, so can everyone see the rod tip? Can you see this? Okay. So when I'm looking for, when these fish are biting, there's a couple different things I'm watching for. You'll see them hover over this bait. If you watch long enough and it's still, you'll see like, you almost see this. Because what they're trying to do is they're trying to center over that bait and they're fanning. So you'll almost see like the rod tip kind of start moving a little bit. Sometimes, it depends on how hard they come in. They can come in and just suck it up and be gone in a second. Other times they'll come up, they'll investigate it, see what's going on, all that. Watch, I got some stuff here. So, let's put this over here. So you're good, stay right there. So what you'll see a lot of times, so you're gonna see, you'll see something like this, right? You see the rod tip kind of bouncing like that. Then you're gonna see this. Oh, it's not gonna work the way I want it. All right, so what I'm trying to imitate is these fish picking this bait up and starting to swim with it. Actually, there we go. All right, so when they start to swim with it, see how that rod tip starts jumping like that? What you're seeing a lot of times is the fisher, he's got the bait, he's just swimming away with it. He's dragging that sinker along through the sand and all across the bottom. So you're watching that rod tip going like this. And what most people do, thank you, sir. And what most people do, and which I did for years, was I would take, I'd feed the line to the fish, pick it up, feed it, feed it, feed it, feed it, and then set the hook. I know some guys don't. I used to. I thought it was the best way. Until I started leaving the rod in the holder and I started watching them videos of how they pick that bait up. You see, everyone see that video, the sturgeon sucking the hair off that mermaid? Where he comes up and just sucks the goggles and the hair right off. So they're very powerful fish. When they suck something off the bottom, they're not like, you know, they're not nibbling at it like a bluegill. I mean, they're sucking that, they're blowing water out their gills and they're getting what they want. So a lot of times what you're seeing is actually that sinker being dragged across the bottom. So when they pick it up, they'll either stop swimming and drift backwards, then the rod just doubles over and you get them on, or they'll pick it up and they'll start swimming off with it. First thing I do is I'll count to 5. If I see that thing start dragging, I'll go 1, 2. If they're dragging a 1-pound sinker, likelihood is they're not gonna be able to get rid of that hook. However, if I pick up the rod and I start feeding him line, I'm giving him slack. So while he's going like this, because while they're swimming away, they're still trying to suck it up. In and out, in and out, in and out. If you watch sturgeon, that's what they do a lot of times. They're in and out, in and out. Again, this is my opinion. It doesn't mean it's exactly right. This is how I picture it. Seems to work for me. So what I'll do is leave the rod in the holder. I'll reel that thing down as tight as I can possibly get it. Because if I'm setting a hook and he already swam 15 feet with it while I waited, I'm gonna set the hook and I still got 10 feet of line. That's still wherever, who knows? He could be, you know, coming into the current. So that's why I just started reeling. And sometimes it feels like 15 seconds I'm reeling until it gets tight and then I got the fish. And then I'll lift it out, pull it back, and then I got fish on. But I found, I keep really good numbers, so I keep track of all my lengths of fish, times, dates, the size of fish. So if I change something and if I do something, I'm all in with it. And then I look at my numbers at the end of the year. And if I catch more fish, it tells me it works. So I keep doing that same thing. So my program is consistent now and my customers can do it too. So instead of like, oh, don't touch the rod, you know, blah, blah, blah. Now they can just run up, reel. They can reel on their own, pick it up, and they can catch their own fish. Whereas before it was like, no, I gotta do it. Let me pick up the rod. All right, yep, I think he's got it. So, you know, with a little bit of help of watching these videos, them picking up that bait, understanding more what I'm seeing at the end of the rod, and understanding, it seemed like it kind of helped me. It seems like my catch ratios are up, which customers seem to enjoy. Rod positions, like I said before, I'm running 2 way out the back, 2 further up, and then 2 more straight down. Depending on speed of current, even with 16 ounce, you're still going to be going back a little ways. Generally, it's like in 50 feet of water, I'll still be probably at least 65 back on the front ones, depending on speed of current. Farthest ones back, I mean, I'll go all the way up to 170, 180 feet back. I mean, I'll cover some area. But it does cast in 16 ounce sinkers, 70 trips a year. It about put me in the hospital last year. I had all sorts of shoulder pain. So it does take a toll on you. Classic question, do I stay or do I move? Should I stay in this spot or should I move? And that comes right back to like what I said before, pay attention to what's going on around you. The way I can usually tell is if I know there's fish around me, which there's fish pretty much in the whole system. I mean, yeah, there might be a pod over there, pod here. They're always moving, especially when they're active, they're gonna move even more. So just being able to pay attention, watch what's going on around you. I've made mistakes before by moving. I've also made really good decisions by moving and not moving. That is something, it's really hard to tell you. The only way, honestly, like I said, is to pay attention to what's going on around you. If you see, say you're out in a river and you got everything set up and you're like, do I move or do I not move? And you start getting any kind of bites whatsoever. We're talking mainly like catfish bites. If I'm getting catfish bites, I'm gonna typically stay where I'm at. And I'll stay there I'll probably stay the rest of the evening there, just because if something's biting, usually everything's biting. The sturgeon will start biting. So that's one thing. If the fish are biting, I'll generally stay in that area. I won't move. But like I said, staying or moving is a really hard decision, even for me sometimes. Most of the times, I would say now, 90% of the times, when I park, I stay. I don't leave. Years ago, for about 10 years, I was always, we're gonna park, we'll try it for an hour. If nothing, we'll go somewhere else. And I just got moving and moving and moving. So most times it would work out, a lot of times it wouldn't. It was kind of a 50-50 gamble. But now, if I know there's fish in an area, I'll stay in that area, I'll work it out. And I'm basically just waiting for those bite times to go by. Sometimes I'll anchor, in the first hour, I'll catch 4 or 5 fish. And I might not catch another fish for 4 hours, and then that trip's done. Sometimes you catch 1 an hour. It just kind of depends on the day. Sometimes you wait 4 hours, and the last hour you hook up on a triple. I mean, I've had every variation of every single kind of thing happen out there. I've had it where it's just crazy from start to finish. Put lines in, double. Put them back out, another double. Put them back out, and you just one after another, and it never stops. And I've also had it where, you know, fish are jumping like crazy all around me, and I'm pulling my hair out. I can't catch one, can't get a bite. The guy next to me catches one. You know, if he's catching 10, that's a little bit different story. If he just catches 1, that's not really enough for me to say, all right, everything I did was wrong. You know, if I'm parked next to you and I catch 7 and you don't catch anything, generally, I mean, there's something, you're either not on the fish, they're not moving your way, or something you have going on isn't exactly right. I'll always tell you, anchor above me before you anchor next to me. Keeping bait on the bottom is probably the #1 thing. If you're gonna reel stuff in, don't be afraid to reel stuff in, check it, get it back out. Definitely, I've had a lot of times reel stuff in, cast out, put the rod down, walk away. Someone says, hey, there's a fish, look back, and within 30 seconds, that rod catches a fish. So definitely casting, checking, moving positions, whether it's a little farther to the right, a little farther to the left, a little farther back, a little closer. Even having 6 rods out, I mean, you're covering almost 200 feet of water behind the boat, but moving them positions in and out through that area. If them fish are just sitting in one spot and they're a little lethargic, don't want to move, if you cast something, drop it right in front of them, there's a chance they might see that drop down and come up and investigate what's going on. So these are, like I said, through this whole seminar, these are all little itty bitty pieces of a big, huge, giant puzzle to put together. So these are all little tiny things that'll help you. Checking bait, moving rods, being aware of, you know, I get sand come up in my sinkers. Sometimes I'll go to reel it in and it's like, what? It's stuck. And all of a sudden it pops loose. Where the area you're at, the sand is moving so fast across the bottom, it's burying everything you have. Another indication of what's going on at the bottom that you can't see. It was hard for me to believe at first too, but the sand will actually cover your stuff. So being aware of what's always going on around you. You know, there's little pieces of evidence you get here and there, put the pieces of the puzzle together and it'll kind of give you an indication of what you're looking at all around top to bottom. I've gotten to the point to where, and I'm not bragging whatsoever, I've just gotten to the point where I can look and go, we're gonna catch one in 10 minutes. And within 10 minutes, usually we catch one. It's just, you get a feeling, something changes, time of day, wind, there's something that goes on where I can look and go, it's gonna happen. Or, you know, at 3:45, the pressure is gonna change and you hope that that little change is gonna be what you need. So all these little things, like I said, I swear I could tell you within 10, 15 minutes, a lot of times when we're gonna get a fish. Most times I'm right. I would say 90% of the time. So it just having them instincts and constantly watching what's going on around you, what you're bringing up, what you're feeling, what everything's looking like. Another good thing, we get a lot of doubles. I think 1 out of every 5, 6 fish consists of a double. Usually I get anywhere between 20 and 30 doubles a season. When they're biting, they're biting. Get your stuff back out. If you get a fish on this rod, cast it right back to there. Because there might be 2, 3 of them, you know, Paul and Bob and Bill, they might be, you know, going up to see what's going on with Sally up. Drop it back down. It only takes 30 seconds at the bottom or less to catch a fish sometimes. So keeping your rods at the bottom, even while you're fighting a fish. Obviously, you don't need to go out there with 2 guys and run 6 rods. Run a manageable amount of rods, because I used to do it by myself and just run 4. And I got a bigger boat and decided to run 6, and running 6 rods by yourself is hard. Bigger the boat, the easier it is. But if you use 4 rods in the right spot at the right time with the right program, the right bait, everything else, you'll catch just as many fish as guys that are running 9, 10, 11 rods. I guarantee it, because I've done it. Just pay attention to everything going on, making sure you got the right bait, right place, and you'll be fine. Take your time, don't rush. Keep all your stuff organized. Don't have a bunch of clutter around that you're gonna step over. You know, if fish bites, you go to get it, things happen quick. Your adrenaline's running, you know there's a fish on. Take your time, clear everything out, get yourself organized. So that way you don't have a bunch of issues going on at the back of the boat while you're trying to fight a fish. When you are fighting the fish, if I'm on this side of the boat and say the motor's right here, what I'm gonna do, and this fish is straight up and down, I'm gonna fight him in this position, I'm gonna stay there. If he decides he's going to the other side of the boat, my first thing I'm gonna do is I'm not gonna try to go around the motor, because that motor's so far down. Trying to successfully get down and around the motor is difficult. If you take that rod and you just hold it like this, and you can watch the bend of the rod, he's only gonna be able to go into the current for so long until he's gotta turn back and come back around the back of the boat. There's just too much force you pulling on him, the current, everything else. So what you do is you just hold that rod down here while he's fighting, and all of a sudden you'll feel him turn and kick back out and come back around. Once he gets far enough out around, then I'll come back up over and continue fighting him in this position. So as far as fighting the fish, obviously keep them away from your motor. That's one good way I found when they want to run side to side. Just keeping that rod in that down position until they change their position and move back to the back. Sometimes you get them fish that just, all they want to do is go back and forth. I'm going to this side. Then you got to wait and go around, go to this side, back and forth, back and forth. It gets exhausting.
Well, guys, I really hope you all enjoyed that seminar. Capt Anthony is awesome. I thought he did a really good job of breaking it down and stuff like that. We did have a short little Q&A after the fact that the GoPro overheated for. It was super hot out on the dock. We had another camera ready to go, but honestly, we got kind of sucked up in the seminar. So hopefully it's some incentive to get you guys out here on the dock next time. It's a very cool setting to have some seminars. If you did enjoy the seminar, if you did learn anything, if you want to add anything to it, please drop it below right in the comments. Also, guys, if you're watching our channel and you haven't yet, please subscribe. It's going to help us grow. It's going to help us continue to do some awesome things. We're on the shot, whatever. We're heading for 1,000. As soon as we get our first 1,000, we'll do a nice little giveaway here from Hook One and everyone here at the Bait and Tackle store. Other than that, sturgeon season is going to be open on July 16th. We cannot wait. It should be an awesome season. Good luck, guys. Tag us in your photos. Let us know what you're catching or how you guys are doing, and we will see you guys next time. Adios.